an interesting part of my research, my recent research, which is as part of a team, an interdisciplinary team with a $2.6 million grant from the Office of Naval Research. Now, how does an ethnographer like me, with a critical and cultural background, end up doing this kind of work for the military? Well, let me tell you how it happened. I saw that the Bush administration and the Pentagon were making horrific mistakes in communicating, both with foreign populations as well as with domestic ones. And so one day, Steve Corman, one of my colleagues here, who some of you know is a hardcore social science type, we picked up the telephone and we called the State Department and we said, let's talk to somebody who's in charge of public diplomacy. Let's start there. And we said, we want to volunteer. You guys clearly need some help. And you know what? They were warm. They were welcoming. This was back in 2004 when we formed the Consortium for Strategic Communication at ASU. From that early beginning with the State Department, where, I have served as a public diplomat in Spain and that sort of thing, and Steve has been in Singapore and Germany and so forth, and we formed this interdisciplinary group. We got some connections with the Pentagon. They started out the Human Terrain Project, which the Anthropology Association is concerned about. Montgomery McFate is the woman who's in charge of that program, an anthropologist with a big heart, I should say, and a good plan. The fear among anthropologists and sociologists is that the same problems would occur with using ethnographers in the field that occurred in Vietnam. Well, we researched that. In Vietnam, the information that was passed along about how to understand others and how to influence others was used often to annihilate others. And we've gotten some very upfront promises from the people that we deal with that our work isn't going to do that at all, that they really do want to understand the people that they're dealing with, and that ours is strictly a humanitarian mission. In fact, we are labeled peacekeepers. What we're trying to do is build peace in the region so that they don't make those mistakes because the conflicts won't happen. And so what we do is we work in contested populations in Singapore and Indonesia, in the Middle East, and in North Africa and Southern Europe. These are three concerns for the Navy because they have fleets there. And so they're perfectly positioned to provide humanitarian aid. But they have to know what they're dealing with, and they have realized the power of narrative is so strong that they need expertise to know what stories are in circulation, both in new media as well as on the street, and how seriously people are taking them. And so our job is to build a narrative database of historic narratives that are popular within the culture, that speak to the people in the region, and to use that to develop what we call a heat index. Which is actually a device that will be used in the field to see whether or not the existing narratives connect to the historical narratives in ways that make them look like they could be actionable. I think this is really exciting work for somebody that does narrative research. And I don't know anybody that's getting a couple of $1 million out of the government these days to study narratives and to do field research. So I'm excited. We've been up and running since May. And we actually have, so far, I think so far so good. I mean, I've learned an awful lot about Islamic narratives, I can tell you that. And particularly the historical appreciation of key narratives within their cultures. And so again, I think, ethnographers, there's so much work in the world that we can do. People in the communication field have things to offer in terms of public policy, in terms of research, in terms of opportunities to engage in real issues of the day. And so let's break out of the shell, that we've created for ourselves because it's a safe place, and engage those topics. Our time has come.